The ocean was once a nightmare. If you stand on a beach today and look out at the horizon, the ocean feels vast, rhythmic, and perhaps a little bit intimidating. We know there are great white sharks out there. We know there are stinging jellyfish and crushing currents. But the truth is, the modern ocean is a playground compared to what it used to be. For hundreds of millions of years, the Earth's seas were not just bodies of water. They were a planetary-scale battlefield where the rules of survival were written in blood and bone. Imagine an ocean where the small predators were the size of a transit bus. Imagine a world where there were no boats, no humans to intervene, and no coastal safety. Just thousands of miles of open water dominated by creatures far more extreme, faster, and more brutal than anything currently swimming in our depths. In the prehistoric past, being in the water meant being part of a food chain that didn't just include you. It ignored you because you weren't even a substantial snack for the apex killers of the time. From armored fish with bone-crushing shears for teeth to marine reptiles longer than 2 shipping containers, the ancient seas were a theater of biological excess. Evolution was constantly upsizing its hunters to see just how much damage a single organism could do. Today, we are going to dive into the dark, deep-time history of our planet to understand why the prehistoric oceans were more terrifying than we can possibly imagine. Because to understand the peace of today's blue waters, we need to go back in time to the era of monsters. Long before the first creature crawled onto dry land, the ocean was already ancient. While the continents were barren rock, the seas were a bubbling soup of biological experimentation. This was a world without rules. During the Cambrian Explosion, roughly 541 million years ago, evolution began testing body forms that looked like they belong in a low-budget alien horror movie. Creatures didn't have the sleek, streamlined shapes we recognize today. They had stalks for eyes, circular maws filled with serrated plates, and dozens of undulating legs. Because there were no established, stable food chains, the ocean was a chaotic arena of trial and error. Survival wasn't about strategy. It was about having a physical form that hadn't been figured out by a predator yet. The oxygen levels fluctuated wildly, and the chemistry of the water was often toxic to anything but the hardiest organisms. The ocean was unpredictable and unstable, a shifting environment where a species could be the dominant force one day and extinct the next. This instability set the stage for an escalation of violence that the world had never seen. And then came the hunters. The first true king of the abyss was a creature called Anomalocaris, which literally translates to abnormal shrimp. But don't let the name fool you. While most life at the time was only a few centimeters long, Anomalocaris could grow up to 1 meter, 3.3 feet. In a world of tiny, soft-bodied organisms, this was a giant. It had a pair of terrifying spiked appendages near its mouth that it used to snatch prey out of the water column. Its mouth was a nightmare of overlapping plates that never fully closed, designed to crack the hard shells of trilobites, the armored cockroaches of the sea. Anomalocaris was a pioneer. It represented the first time in Earth's history that an animal actively hunted its food rather than just passively filtering it from the water. This was the spark that ignited the predator-prey arms race. Prey animals began developing thicker shells and defensive spikes to survive Anomalocaris, which in turn forced predators to become faster and stronger. But evolution didn't slow down. It escalated into an era of heavy metal biology. As we move into the Devonian period, known as the Age of Fish, we meet one of the most brutal vertebrates to ever exist, Dunkleosteus. Imagine a fish the size of a large truck, up to 9 meters, 30 feet, long, whose entire front half is encased in thick, bony armor plates. Dunkleosteus didn't have teeth in the traditional sense. Instead, its jawbones were honed into razor-sharp, self-sharpening bony shears. When it closed its mouth, It exerted a bite force of about 6,000 to 7,400 newtons, over 1,300 pounds, at the tip of its fangs. It could snap a prehistoric shark in half with a single bite. Even more terrifying was its speed. It could open its mouth in just 20 milliseconds, creating a vacuum that sucked prey directly into its throat. Dunkleosteus represented the rise of dominant vertebrate predators. It was the tank of the ancient seas, heavily armored, nearly indestructible, and capable of crushing anything in its path. But as the eras shifted, the fish were forced to share the throne with a new kind of terror: the reptiles. During the Cretaceous period, the oceans were ruled by reptiles that had returned to the water and grown to monstrous proportions. Chief among them was the Mosasaurus. This wasn't just a big lizard. It was an apex predator that reached lengths of 17 meters, 56 feet. It had a double-hinged jaw and an extra set of teeth in the roof of its mouth to ensure that once it grabbed something, that something never got away. But the mosasaur wasn't alone. It shared the water with plesiosaurs, known for their incredibly long necks, and ichthyosaurs, which looked like dolphins but were far more lethal. These reptiles were warm-blooded and fast, capable of migrating across entire oceans to hunt. They developed complex hunting strategies, likely working in groups or using the murky depths to ambush prey from below. For tens of millions of years, the ocean wasn't a place for fish to rule. It was a reptilian empire where the scale of the hunters was matched only by their aggression. But even these giants were not the most terrifying thing to ever swim in our seas. If you combine the speed of a modern shark with the size of a whale and the bite force of a hydraulic press, you get Otodus Megalodon. This was the largest shark to ever live, ruling the oceans from about 23 to 3.6 million years ago. While the mosasaurs were massive, the Megalodon was a refined, relentless killing machine. Conservative estimates put its length at 15 to 18 meters, 50 to 60 feet. Its teeth were the size of a human hand, and its jaw was large enough to swallow 2 adult humans standing side by side. Megalodon didn't just hunt fish, it hunted whales. It was an active, high-speed predator that could take down a 20-ton cetacean by biting off its fins and tail, immobilizing the giant before feeding. Unlike the marine reptiles that had to surface for air, Megalodon was a fish. It never had to leave the water. It was fast, efficient, and occupied the top of the food chain in every ocean on Earth. In the era of the Megalodon, the ocean had no safe zone. If you were in the water, you were on the menu. But it wasn't just the predators that made the ocean terrifying. We often focus on the monsters, but the ancient ocean was also a physical nightmare. During various periods of Earth's history, oxygen levels in the deep water dropped to near zero, a state called anoxia. This created massive dead zones where nothing could survive, forcing all life into the crowded, dangerous surface waters where predators were most concentrated. The waters were also far more chemically unstable. Volcanic activity on the seafloor was much higher than it is today, frequently releasing toxic gases and boiling minerals into the water column. Underwater landslides and massive tsunamis were common in a world with shifting tectonic plates and frequent asteroid impacts. Survival wasn't just about outrunning a shark. It was about surviving an environment that was actively trying to suffocate or poison you. The ancient ocean was a high-stakes lottery where the environment itself was just as likely to kill you as the creature with the big teeth. Why did prehistoric life become so extreme? The answer lies in the arms race. In biology, this is a cycle where a predator gets faster, so the prey gets more armored, which forces the predator to grow larger or develop a stronger bite. Because the ocean was so vast and full of energy, there was almost no limit to how big an animal could get. Natural selection favored the most extreme traits. If you weren't the biggest, you had to be the fastest. If you weren't the fastest, you had to be the most invisible. This constant pressure created the monsters we study today. The ocean was the ultimate laboratory for extreme evolution, pushing the boundaries of what biological tissue, bone, and muscle could actually achieve. So, why don't we see 50-foot sharks today? The reign of the monsters was ended by mass extinctions. Climate shifts were the primary culprit. As the Earth cooled and the sea levels dropped, the warm, shallow coastal waters, the primary nurseries and hunting grounds for these giants, disappeared. When the large whales changed their migration patterns to colder waters, the Megalodon couldn't follow because it required warmer temperatures to sustain its massive body. The food chains collapsed. Without enough calories to fuel their enormous frames, the giants simply starved into extinction. The ocean gradually became more stable, smaller, and quieter. The modern ocean is a calmer place, but it is still shaped by that violent past. Many of the survival traits we see today, the schooling behavior of fish, the deep-sea camouflage of squid, the thick blubber of whales, all originated as defenses against the nightmare predators of the prehistoric seas. The ocean was once far more dangerous than we can truly imagine. We are living in a rare, quiet period in Earth's history. When you look at a great white shark today, remember that it is a survivor of an era where it would have been at the bottom of the food chain. We are only seeing a quieter, smaller version of something much more extreme. The ocean you see today is just a shadow of what it used to be. Which prehistoric creature would you fear the most if you were stranded in the ancient ocean? Would it be the armored Dunkleosteus or the relentless Megalodon? Tell me in the comments below. If you love exploring the dark corners of deep-time history, hit the like button and subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one.